A full slate of action has led to some shakeups in the V360 basketball top 5. We'll recap all the latest on this week's Varsity 360 right now. Hello everyone and welcome to Varsity 360, our weekly look at the top stories in Fredericksburg area high school sports. Mark Coleman here from the mighty V2SN. Very happy you found us on FLSvarsity.com and Fredericksburg.com. As always, partnered with the very good folks from the Freelance Star. And today I have one of my very favorite sports writers. He is sports writer extraordinaire from the Freelance Star. It is Mr. Taft Coghill. Taft, welcome back, man. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Mark.
You've been a busy guy lately, it sounds like.
Yeah, signing day right around the corner here. I guess we're filming today, Tuesday. Signing day's tomorrow, Wednesday, and have a big story to look out for tomorrow. Yeah,
so make sure if you have not read the story, this will come out probably on Thursday, this episode. Check out Taft's story, which is going to run in the Wednesday Freelance Star. It's on life after college football, basically. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, that's a pretty fair assessment for the guys who aren't fortunate enough to make it to the NFL, that they get enough out of the college experience to, establish themselves out here in the real world.
Sounds fascinating. Looking forward to it, and as always, looking forward to a great episode with Mr. Taft Coghill. We had a full slate of games in the boys basketball for the area, and it results in a shakeup in the Varsity 360 top 5, including a new entrant making their debut at number 5 on the Varsity 360 top 5. It is James Monroe High School. Taft, we had Coach Bumbry here last week. Only coincidental that he was here and now JM is making an appearance, I believe, but man, they had a really good week of basketball.
Yeah, they had a really good week, and like you mentioned, not in the top 5 earlier, probably because they hadn't had that signature win. They really proved themselves, but they picked up 2 of those last week, knocking off Chancellor 75-67, and then also a blowout victory over Spotsylvania.
73-47 victory over Spotsy on this past Friday night. That moves JM to 11-6 on the year, and that victory over Chancellor actually knocks Chancellor out of our top 5. A signature win there, though, for the Yellow Jackets. This team is on a roll.
Yeah, they're on a roll. Like we said earlier, they started out the year a little bit rocky, a little bit up and down, had some high points, some low points, but they seem to have smoothed out all the kinks right now, and they're really rolling.
Antoine Lewis Gray led the Yellow Jackets in that game against Chancellor. 16 points, 10 assists, and 8 rebounds. And then it was Drejon Boley with 18 and 13 against Spotsy, and as well as C.J. Miller, 16 points and 10 boards for JM. Darius Carter did lead the way with 23 points and 11 rebounds for Spotsy in that game. But, yeah, my goodness, Coach Bumbry has this team clicking right now.
Yeah, I think the key you see there is that you mentioned 3 guys. You mentioned Lewis Gray, then Boley, then C.J. Miller, all with at least 16 points in the span of 2 games. That pretty much shows the type of depth that he's working with right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So congratulations to JM. Number 5 in the Varsity 360 top 5 for boys. Let's move to number 4 now, and it is Cortland. The Cougars come in at 11-6. They had a big victory themselves over Chancellor this past week, 41-33. They did have a tough loss to Liberty on Saturday, but at 11-6 on the season, still a pretty good team here.
Yeah, pretty good team. They beat Chancellor 41-33 on Friday. Chancellor was without 4 of their top players due to a combination of illness and some academic issues and whatnot. But at the same time, it was an impressive victory for Cortland. You mentioned Jarvis Law there with 12 points, but also I was at that game. I saw Jabari Allen had a really, even though he only had 8 points, his performance goes beyond the box score. He had, I think he had about 8 rebounds and 4 or 5 blocks in that game as well.
The story outside of the numbers there, that always seems to be the case, particularly in high school basketball. There's so much more to it than just points scored. But Cortland hanging in there at number 4 in our top 5. Moving to number 3, Riverbend. They actually fall to number 3. They are 12-4 on the season. They did have a 41-40 victory over Cortland last Wednesday. C.J. Beckett with 14 points, Cameron Hill with 12 in that game. They did have a loss, however, to Colonial Forge. We'll get to that in just a bit. But the Bears still have a good season going right now, 12-4 on the year. And Riverbend is number 3 in the Varsity 360 boys basketball top 5. Number 2 in the V360 top 5 is Culpeper. The Blue Devils are 13-2 on the season. 78-71 victory over Eastern View on Friday. Luther Gibbs with 22 points in this game.
Yeah, Culpeper, they're always a team to watch out for. I mean, with their athleticism and their depth, the way they like to get up and down the court, they're always a team that's going to score a lot of points.
Yeah, 78 points is a lot of points in a high school
game.
basketball game. That's a lot. That's a lot of them getting up and down the floor, no doubt there. And maintaining their hold on number 1 in the Varsity 360 boys top 5, it is Colonial Forge. Forge moves to 16-1 on the season. A couple of very big victories this past week. 71-39 win over Riverbend on Thursday, and a 56-37 victory over Forest Park on Friday. This team just continues to roll, and Winston Burgess actually leading the way. 20 points in the victory over Bend, 22 points in the victory over Forest Park. Marco Haskins with 13 points and 9 boards in that game against Riverbend. But I suspect that they are not playing full games, not seeing as much playing time as they will probably in the postseason.
Yeah, those are a pair of Conference 4 victories, which are pretty huge. But you don't expect to see the Eagles get tested in the conference until perhaps they play Hilton coming up here soon.
So Colonial Forge number 1 in the Varsity 360 boys basketball top 5. Moving now to the girls' side and looking at the Varsity 360 top 5 for girls basketball. Checking in at number 5, it is Colonial Forge. Forge at 12-4 on the season now, following a couple of victories, Conference 4 victories again, and big ones. 59-18 victory over Riverbend and a 56-27 win over Forest Park. Taft, just like on the boys' side, however, the girls probably not going to be real tested in their Conference 4 play for a while.
Yeah, they do have Stafford coming up on Friday. That could provide somewhat of a test, and I think Woodbridge is pretty decent. But this is another team, like we talked about with JM Boys earlier, that kind of started out a little bit rocky, but now they seem to be hitting their stride.
They went through a little bit of a tough period there, but they do seem to be hitting their stride now. Nia Washington certainly has been turning it on. 19 points in the victory over Bend, 23 points in the win over Forest Park. Jamise Shellington had 12 boards in that game as well.
Yeah,
there's still some talent on this Forge team.
Oh yeah, and the thing about Nia Washington is when the chips are down, when things get tough, is when you usually see her step up. She usually likes to distribute as a point guard, but when she starts scoring, like see 23 and 19 points, it's pretty important game.
So Forge number 5 with a bullet on the Varsity 360 girls basketball top 5. At number 4, Colonial Beach, now 14-3 on the season. They had a big victory over Essex this past week, 61-38. Alexia Wilson with 19 points. Sydney Carey with 18 points, 8 assists, and 6 steals. Well, this Colonial Beach team just continues to rack up the wins, but just impress in how they do it as well.
Yeah, and then you look at Conference 43. I mean, they've been outside of that conference playing a lot of heavyweight 5A, 6A, 4A teams. They go back to that conference and they pretty much just roll everybody.
Yeah, it's very impressive, the schedule that they're playing and the way that they're performing against that schedule. A very talented team, very deserving of the number 4 position in the Varsity 360 girls basketball top 5. Coming in at number 3 in this week's top 5 for the girls, it is Caroline. Caroline at 12-4 on the season. They had a victory over King George, 51-42. Hope Tolliver leading the way in that game with 20 points. Jasmine Moore chipping in 14 points as well. Caroline looking strong as always.
Yeah, they're looking strong again this season. Jasmine Moore is approaching 1,000 points for her career. She could do that on Friday against JM. I think she's about 9 points shy of that, so that's one thing to look out for there.
At number 2 in our girls basketball Varsity 360 top 5, it is Mountain View. We actually believe that Mountain View had 2 games this past week, but have not been able to verify results of those games. Mountain View, nonetheless, at number 2, and still a strong team, that stifling defense, just a quality team there.
Yeah, quality, well-coached team. They have a lot of pieces, a lot of good shooters, good ball handlers, and even without their big 6'4" center, Rochelle Norris, who went down early in the season, they've continued to roll.
And coming in at number 1 in the girls basketball Varsity 360 top 5, it is Chancellor. Chancellor now 14-4 on the season. We're recording this on Tuesday. Monday night, Chancellor actually had a big game and a loss to the James Monroe team, which is on the girls' side has been playing extremely well as well. They are knocking hard on the door of the top 5 on the girls' side. Chancellor did have a couple of big victories this past week as well. They had a 50-47 win over Massaponax and a 51-38 victory over Cortland on Friday. But this loss to first loss to an area team, nothing to get too excited about, I don't think, but maybe a chink in the armor on this Chancellor team?
Perhaps. I mean, I wasn't at the game to say for sure exactly what happened, but I mean, when you look at the fact they beat JM handily, I believe by 17, 18 points the first time, you come in, maybe it was a case that they underestimated them a little bit, but you also have a young lady on JM, Shakira Austin, who's continuing to get better and better as the season goes on. So it could be JM emerging, or it could have been Chancellor underestimating JM a little bit.
You know, and you weren't with us last week. Again, we had Coach Bumbry from JM, the boys basketball coach. He was talking about trying to sort of change the culture at JM. It's not just a high school that has a solid football team. They certainly still have that, but sort of introducing or reintroducing the tradition of the basketball side, and he's got connections to the girls' basketball side as well. Again, a lot of coincidence there, but I think also a lot of not coincidence in how JM has been playing of late. So congratulations to JM on that, but congratulations as well to Chancellor, who maintains the #1 seed in the girls' basketball Varsity 360 top 5. Time now for our weekly segment we call Athlete of the Week. Here at Varsity 360, we recognize some outstanding athletic performance from the past week. This week, it comes from the boys basketball side. It's a 6-foot junior guard from Portland High School, Jarvis Law, who scored 12 points in a victory over Chancellor. Monday night, he had 22 points in an overtime victory over King George. Jarvis Law is the Varsity 360 Athlete of the Week. And Taft, you were at this game last night. A pretty impressive kid here.
Well, yeah, actually, I was at the game on Friday against Chancellor, and yeah, very, very impressive, level-headed kid. Game was pretty tight. Fourth quarter, he went in and knocked down 8 out of 10 free throws to kind of wrap that game up. It looks like Monday night against King George, similar type of performance. He had 22 points in that game. Also knocked down 8 free throws in that fourth quarter and overtime to get Cortland on the winning side.
Had to come from behind in that game against King George, so impressive performance under pressure there.
Yeah, under pressure and 2 big conference wins.
Yeah, absolutely. So congratulations to Jarvis Law, basketball player from Cortland High School. He is the Varsity 360 Athlete of the Week. Exciting events happening this week for a number of high school kids across the country. It is National Signing Day. Of course, we are recording this on Tuesday evening, probably will be airing on Thursday. Wednesday itself is the signing day. This is the first day that high school seniors can officially commit themselves to a college program. And it's a big time, and there's some pretty big names that are going to some pretty impressive schools from the area. And starting with Gary Jennings, and he's one of the ones that we are not entirely certain where he's going to go. So this is a multi-purpose football player from Colonial Forge, had a good season last year as well on the basketball side. He's got a number of places that he's looking at and are looking at him, and the question is, where will he go, and what position will he play? What do you think, Taft?
Well, according to my sources, it'll be either University of Virginia or West Virginia, but that could be wrong. I've heard that he's down to those 2 programs, and both of those programs like him as a wide receiver. He has the size, 6'2", 195, real strong hands, good leaping ability, and Notre Dame and North Carolina, they like him as a defensive back. So those 2 schools, you never know. He took his final official visit to North Carolina this past weekend, and they could have left a lasting impression on him. Sure. They have another Colonial Forge defensive back. Tim Scott was a senior at North Carolina last year, so you never know. That could weigh on him too.
UVA, it sounds like, has a little bit, I believe it's UVA, has a little bit of an edge here. Wisconsin was one of, so you have 5 official visits that you can take, a number of unofficial visits. I don't know that there's a limit on that. 5 official visits. That fifth one out of the four that you mentioned, he also went to Wisconsin. They've gone through some upheaval on their coaching staff. One of the coaches, I believe was actually the coach that was recruiting him, is now at UVA. Do I have that right?
Yeah, Chris Beatty, who was recruiting Jennings to Wisconsin, is now at UVA. And Beatty also has ties to this area. He was the former head coach at North Stafford High School.
Okay. So an exciting time. Certainly wish Gary and all of the folks that will be signing tomorrow as well as throughout the rest of this spring the very best of luck. But one that we feel pretty certain about is Gus Little, a linebacker from Massaponax. He's going to be going up the road a bit to Maryland.
Yeah, his recruitment was a little bit more traditional than Jennings. Typically in this area, we don't have people announcing on signing day, but Gus Little had committed to Maryland back in June, and he's going to honor that commitment by signing his national letter of intent tomorrow.
Playing in the Big Ten, that's awfully impressive there. So congratulations to Gus Little on that. Well, moving just a little bit further up north, Garrett Weidel from River Bend is actually going to be signing his letter of commitment to the Naval Academy. Will be continuing his football career there. That's a pretty big, impressive accomplishment there as well.
Yeah, impressive accomplishment and an impressive kid on and off the field with Mr. Weidel there.
Absolutely. No doubt that they're looking at character. Academics, your background, not just how you perform on the field.
Yeah, you have to be the whole
when you go to one of those service
there.
academies. Another kid who very excited to hear that I believe he's made a commitment, made a decision. Elijah Burris from Mountain View, sort of the do-everything quarterback there. Big kid, is going to be continuing his career at Campbell, I believe.
Yeah, Campbell University. That's a real big accomplishment for Elijah. He, entered the year, no scholarship offers or anything, but he, had a very young team that he was trying to lead in the right direction. But he, according to his coach, Lou Sorrentino, he stayed focused and didn't get distracted by the not having college offers. He stayed focused and led the team the best he could and got rewarded for it in the end. So,
yeah, well, absolutely wonderful for him. There are a few others from the area that are still, I guess, waiting for some additional offers and looking to see where they might go. Any other any tidbits that you want to share with us?
A couple of JM kids still haven't committed, but Keyshawn Johnson, their receiver that they had last year, had a really big senior season. He initially picked up offers from Indiana and from Delaware State, Hampton, and I believe Kent State. I believe the Kent State and the Delaware State are the only two that's still standing. So he may choose between one of those two, or he may go to a school like Fork Union.
How about Jay Scroggins?
That's another interesting one. I'm hearing that some schools have come in late on him, but still no official scholarship offer. So that's another situation where he may have to look down at a D2, a D3 type school, or either go to a Fork Union Military Academy, maybe showcase himself on defense.
There's a real strategy, I guess, to these commitments and how colleges hand out offers. It sounds like it's almost like overbooking airline tickets, right? So they hand out offers, and once they've been taken, if you've not accepted something, then it goes away. Whereas others may have offers out there. If they're not taken, it may open up in other areas.
It also depends on what level you're at. If you're a kid like Gary Jennings, that offer still might be standing there. But if you
that's true.
But if you're on the fringe like some of the other ones, if you don't jump fast, then they could be taken away in a blink of an eye.
So. Certainly an exciting time around the area. Congratulations to those folks, as well as all the kids across the area that will be signing their letters of intent effective Wednesday and throughout the remainder of this winter and spring season. Well, let's take a look at some other sports from around the area, and we are entering conference tournament time now, actually, in a number of the sports. Starting with gymnastics, Conference 15 is going to have their tournament at Brook Point. It looks like Mountain View's got a pretty good stranglehold on Conference 15 as it stands right now. Conference 4, however, is going to be at Stafford, and this was a little bit more wide open.
Yeah, Stafford's a traditional power, and they're going to be the favorite here, but look for Colonial Forge to give chase there as well.
Should be an interesting time there. Turning now to wrestling, a number of tournaments are going to be going underway as well. Conference 15 is going to be on Wednesday. This is really probably going to come down to a matchup between Mountain View and Brook Point. Conference 4 will start on Saturday at Colonial Forge, and I think it's pretty comfortable to say that Forge has the inside track on that one. Justin, of course, is our local wrestling expert. He's estimating somewhere around 12 to 14 champs from Forge on that one.
Yeah, you don't even have to be a guru like Mr. Rice to know that Forge has a stranglehold on wrestling around here.
Well, I hope Justin doesn't watch this. He just got called a guru. I don't know that I like that, but we won't be able to get his head in the door if he hears that one. But yeah, so Colonial Forge looking awfully strong. 14 is the most that you can actually win, so it's certainly possible that they could sweep it there.
Yeah.
Conference 22 also is going to be underway Saturday at Fauquier, and some good matchups there as well, including Eastern View. And then swimming also is going to be underway in Conference 4. That's on Thursday, and Riverbend certainly looking very strong on the boys' side there. I know you had a chance to see some swimming recently as well.
Yeah, I was over at Murray Washington for the Conference 15 meet last week, and North Stafford's boys dominated that one, and Mountain View's girls dominated. Both were repeat champions from a year ago, and both should fare pretty well, at least individually, at the 5A North meet on Friday at the Freedom Center.
So plenty of sporting activities, including some postseason tournaments getting underway around the area. Well, that's going to do it for this week's installment of Varsity 360. Certainly appreciate your time, and as always, I appreciate the time from the good folks from the FLS Varsity. This week, we had sports reporter extraordinaire Taft Coghill. Taft, as always, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it was a blast, Mark.
Busy time at the sports desk for the Freelance Star. All these conference tournaments, postseason coming up. You guys covering, of course, we're getting close to March Madness for college basketball.
Yeah, on the UVA basketball beat right now, and then you mix that with all the postseason high school basketball, wrestling, gymnastics. It's a pretty hectic time of year.
It seems like it's always a hectic time for you guys, though. So I am always impressed by the level of energy and the amount of effort and dedication that these good folks put into their craft. They are awesome at what they do. Certainly I hope that you appreciate it. When you see them out and about at local sporting events, I hope you go up and say hi and tell them that you appreciate what they do, and give them a little nod and maybe a shake their hand. Certainly some good folks, very approachable. And I hope while you're out, you're taking some video and some pictures, and will share those with me. We certainly love to get that on Varsity 360. We'd be happy to do that. You can reach me a number of ways. Email is mark@v2sn.com. You can also tweet me. I am at Mark Coleman, V2SN. We'd love to be able to get that media up on the Varsity 360 show. Well, that's going to do it for this week. Certainly appreciate your time and appreciate the effort from the good staff of the Virginia Varsity Sports Network, the mighty V2SN. On behalf of them, I'm Mark Coleman. Thanks for watching, everyone.